Merry Christmas sa lahat. Mga kababayan ko, halika. Samahan niyo ako lingunin ang mga pamamahala ni Ferdinand E. Marcos noon, no? Lingunin natin kung gaano kaganda o kasama ang kanyang pamamahala nang siya ay nagiging pangulo ng ating bansa. Samahan niyo ako, tunghayan natin kung ang mga sabi-sabi ng ibang tao ay maganda ang pamamalakad ni Ferdinand E. Marcos, or ito ba ay malaking epekto sa atin at sa ating bansa. Kaya hindi lang tayo dapat makinig sa mga sabi-sabi, kundi makinig tayo sa mga totoong dokumento na ibinahagi sa atin ng mga taong naglakas loob talaga. Kaya tunghayan natin ito.
But I still got this eagle, and we're like hanging out in the trees together all day.
This Sanaka pair of Philippine eagles miraculously are pulling off raising a family. It almost seems as if when we're here watching these eagles from our blinds, that everything is okay. And they're in this forest. But we've got to remember that this is a tiny fragment of forest, and everything is not okay. The 3 eagles that live here are 3 of 300 birds in the world. And they're raising this chick as if nothing's changed for thousands of years. They can't comprehend that this baby, when he leaves, he has no place to go.
There are great tracts of forest in these islands, and forestry is one of the biggest industries.
Axes and 2-man saws. With this kind of equipment, it was slow. The best feller in those days, the most he could do was 1 tree and a half a day. With a chainsaw, one guy can do a lot more.
Scene 2, take 2.
The home of the eagle is threatened by the demand for hardwoods in distant countries. Rich countries like Japan, Europe, and the United States want that timber. To satisfy this apparently insatiable demand, logging goes on day and night.
In the late 1970s, the logging industry was booming. Every road, every highway in the Philippines had logging trucks back and forth, 24 hours a day.
I'm happy to see that the reaction throughout the country is favorable. I have received hundreds and hundreds of telegrams from all corners of the Philippines congratulating you, and incidentally me, for the proclamation of martial law.
The height of logging was during the martial law era, where they were cutting down close to 400,000 hectares a year.
President Marcos used the forest as a tool to enrich his friends and himself, and as a tool to remain in power.
All you had to do was be relatively close to politicians, give them money during campaigns, and they'll give you these concessions.
The entire country had been divided up into logging concessions. They were cutting the timber out as quickly as possible.
No one was watching, there was no regulation, so they just cut with impunity.
And the government became so corrupt, you could do anything you want to. Just wait for the inspector to come in and bribe him.
There was really no incentive to protect anything.
The eagle's home is removed wholesale in this onslaught of modern technology. 2 acres of forest are felled every 1.5 minutes.
I saw how enormous the loss was, how greedy Marcos was. It wasn't just the money he stole from us, it was the forest which he stole from the Filipino people.
They destroy our forests, our lands, our rivers. We were at the losing end at the end of the day. That's the hard reality.
The first penetration of our forest areas were by big commercial logging firms, and they created access for a lot of smaller forces.
Most of the concessions were in remote areas, and in order to get there, you had to build roads to get in.
When you build a road to the forest, for whatever reason, it becomes bad for the forest because people trek in. And when people trek in, you can't stop them from trying to make a living.
Population pressure became intense, and people who didn't have land or didn't have farms in the lowlands, didn't have jobs in the lowlands, they'd move up and do slash and burn farming. And the forest quickly disappeared.
I mean, there were hardly even remnants of trees left. There might have been some stumps and things like that, but for as far as you could see, some places were gone.
We've gone through millions of years of the diversity that we now have in the Philippines, and in 100 years, we've decimated it.
It looked like it'd last forever. The forests were so thick. The forests went all the way to the ocean. All the way to the ocean.
We destroyed all of that in 70 years.
We used to have 20 million hectares of virgin forest in this country, around about the 1930s or so. And of the 1990s, this was down to an estimated just 1 million hectares.
It starts off with being massive. Basically, all of our islands, over 7,000, suffered deforestation.
There's hardly any forest left. The forests are just confined to these little tiny ridges, these little tiny sanctuaries that are still remaining where everything else is cleared and the land is just rolling grassland.
I think if you're looking out of the plane window, it's always beautiful. Yeah. You have the cloud formations, the light, the greenness of the land. If you look at it closer, you see it's a landscape that's bleeding.
Puris din yun. Puris. Puro kahoy yan hanggang doon. Wala pa yung mga tao dito ng Agila dyan. Kasi dyan may isang pugad dyan. Dito sa ibaba may pugad din dito. Tsaka dito may pugad din dito. Pero ngayon, wala na. Lahat-lahat nawala.
Eagles killed, died. So if this continues, 20 to 30 years or 50 years, we'll lose everything. dili lang jud na sakitan, mas sobra pag nga nasakitan ta kay simpre nauna pila ka tuig nara sa atong duol ng agila niya
kuan good perminti good taga-adlaw gud na siya mo na dira mo tingog perminti pud na ako makit-an kay diri ra ko sa kuan makit-an naman ako siya diha nya nya ako manggana ang nakakita ato nga katong namiso na siya
Di pagkadungog namo nako murag niinit ako kan ang gilabtan man nga nagtarong-tarong man diha murag lain gyud kayong gibati nimo kay murag kuan namo ganato na murag close na nato bag tao pa siya close na nato tay ko nato na murag sakit yun.
If present trends continue, you'll only see Philippine eagles in captivity. You'll never see the Philippine eagle soar again.
I don't want to explain to my child that I'm working with the eagles only in captivity. I want to give him a chance to see eagles in the wild as well, because I did have a chance before to see eagles in the wild, and I want him to have the same chance.
You still have other eagles that you can spare from this experience. So how do we do that? We need to move forward.
Awareness is passé at this stage. We have to move on to attitude. Yeah, if you want an A for awareness, I'm looking an A for attitude. I want a change in attitude. That's something that sticks. And that's something you feel in your guts.
What I do when I'm up here is I just stare at this viewfinder. And that's all I do. To put all your energy into it, all of your senses have to be riveted. I'll go back to a higher frame rate in case we get an arrival. Hornbills are kind of getting panicky again.
As important as this is and as dedicated as Neil has been, I have a level of pessimism that until some major sociological changes take place, that we're all just delaying the eventual.
Some people question the sanity of actually trying anything. When they just kind of throw the towel in and they hold their hands up and they say, what can we do? What can you do? The population's going to continue, the forests will all be cut down, and the eagle will be extinct. Let's not just give up. Let's not say it's impossible. Let's not give up hope for the Philippine eagle. And other